working hard for Mother Ghana. Yeah, I'm Lexis Bill. You're most welcome. And this evening, I spent time with a man who's a through and through party man. In fact, this evening he's looking very colorful in the Osmo colors. Well represented, a hard-working politician whose efforts has helped the NPP and hopefully will help it retain power in the December elections. Like I said, he's a member of NPP through and through. You could say he's NPP by blood or by through to the marrow, and you won't be far from right. He's the only man who's held virtually every position at the party headquarters, with the exception of the women's organizer and the national chair positions, of course. He's been national finance officer, national youth treasurer, national youth organizer, national communications director, deputy organizer as well, and he's now the general secretary of the NPP. Sergeant. Please help me welcome Mr. John Boadu to Personality Profile. I see a big smile on your face. What's going on to your mind?
Sometimes if you go through these positions, you may think that it happened at once.
Yeah.
It happened just by chance.
No.
It's long walk.
Yeah.
From a career that one didn't really plan for it.
Oh, okay.
I have not been part of politics, although once in a while students you participate in agitating towards bettering your environment, your institutions, and all. I remember for the first time when I was at the Pokwai, we organized a demonstration that was massive, that never happened before.
Wow.
And that was arising out of pent-up feelings over the years. The feeling at that time was that it looks like students didn't have the opportunity to have a voice in things that are done.
Yeah.
So it piled up over years, and
you let it all out.
The effect of it was very bad.
We'll actually get through all of that. So you just relax. I mean, we have an hour of good talk coming up. But let's start off with how you're doing. How are you?
I'm doing well, but obviously at this time of the year, looking at the election calendar, you can't do so well. You always have to meet your schedule. In addition to being the General Secretary and the Director of Operations for the elections, I have to be sure that all decisions taken by the campaign at the national level, regional level, constituency, even at the polling station level, is implemented to the latter.
Right.
So so
there's a lot of work.
Just have to be on your feet all the time.
Yeah. Yesterday you told me you were even not in Accra.
Yes, we organized an orientation program for MMDCs, members of parliament or parliamentary candidates, party chairs, and constituency secretaries. And I can't stay in Accra.
Have you been on the ground with a campaign team? Have you been interacting with Ghanaians?
It's a campaign. I don't know what you mean by campaign team. The campaign started immediately after the election in 2016.
Yeah.
If you watch very well, immediately after that, we started reorganization of our party internally.
What I'm referring to is interacting with people on the ground. I know there are people who are doing house to house visits and whatnot.
Obviously,
you've been doing that a little bit.
As and when
you get opportunity. And what are people telling you now?
In actual fact, people are generally happy about the performance of our government for the past 3.5 years, getting to 4 years. Obviously, there are a lot of challenges as a country, as a developing country. But looking at where we are coming from, what we inherited in 2017, having gone through Dunso for close to 6 years, and its effect, Joy FM, those times when we are passing here, all kinds of noise all over the place. You were laying off workers. For the first time, workers were negotiating with their employers. to reduce their salary in order to maintain them at the workplaces. Going through IMF conditionalities that led to freeze of employment, particularly in the public sector. Clearly, people turning out from school will obviously find it difficult. There is the private sector that was supposed to
so is that to say that
absorb them.
Is that to say that things are a lot better now?
You see, there are challenges. You need to know. You see, if you are not very careful, considering where we are, you may think that we could have, things are not very well as you expect. But if you look at where you are coming from
and where we are now, you think
the challenges that we've been able to surmount over just 3.5 years. It is time to reason that a lot of people are happy about the way Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the New Patriotic Party has managed the entire governance over the past.
You sound confident of 4 more for Nana.
Obviously, for us in the New Patriotic Party, we are looking at a massive win for the presidency and a comfortable majority in Parliament. And I believe that the good people of this country, knowing where we are coming from, and the trust and confidence, the care that His Excellency has shown in times of need, in times of crisis, that even bigger nations were kissing the earth. We didn't. We had a president who took the bull by the horn, took measures that protected all of us and cushioned us. So you can clearly see that although there are more to do, we need 4 more to do more for this country.
Interesting. John Boadu here on Joy 99.7 FM. Our WhatsApp number is activated. You can actually send us a message or ask any question at all. 055-1111-997. Okay? You can send us a message on that platform. 055-1111-997. You've had a very colorful political career, like we mentioned earlier. 7 in virtually almost every position at the party headquarters. How's your political journey been like? How would you describe it?
It's been very difficult. Although if you are tracing it, it looks smooth.
Yeah?
Because I started that's on campus, I'm a vandal, so
that's
the
right.
spirit is already there. I was a polling station chairperson for Ablekuma South Kolebu Police Station in 1996.
Don't start the journey yet. I want to first get to know where you're from and a little bit about growing up before we get to you going through that journey, the political journey.
I'm from Asinfosu. I was born in Accra.
Okay.
I started school Arms Primary. I don't know whether you know there.
Where's that?
Polygono.
At Polygono. Wow.
Continued Ebenezer 2 and 3. Then those times that we said common entrance, I passed I think Form 2 or so. Then went to Ebenezer Secondary School.
Okay.
In those days I was a footballer.
Oh, you were?
And I don't think people know that in those days, even secondary school ran shifts. You go first term in the morning, the second term you go in the afternoon. Anytime we are in the afternoon shift, I don't go because we play football
in the afternoon.
Football, and we used to have something called Munchendi. So I'll leave the house close to a month that you'll not be there.
Yes, sir. And close to a month.
You go to Tema, you go to those places to play football, and the teams will not even. You see, our football calendar is said that it conflicts with our educational calendar.
Okay.
We've never been able to match it well. So that's why you see most footballers are unable to continue their school.
What position were you playing?
I was a midfielder.
A midfielder?
Yeah.
If it was today, which player would you be? Or who would you play like?
ACN, yes.
Michael Essien.
Would be the typical midfield attacking player.
Oh,
so it got to a point that I wasn't concentrating on my education.
Affected your grades?
It didn't so much, but my mom was worried about. When sometimes it is by grace that I hear that there's exams that I will go.
That's serious?
I yes. It's by grace, yeah.
And you were not penalized by the school or anything?
I don't, then because of the numbers, they don't get to know those who don't even come to school, because of the numbers. And I was a footballer too, so I play for the school, so sometimes you're pardoned some way.
Okay.
We got to a point that my mom was not so happy and always complaining. So my auntie, who was staying in Obuasi, came around. Then the complaint was so incessant that I said, John, you call Obuasi.
Hey.
I said, yeah, I will go. So when I went to Obuasi, because you are staying with somebody, you can't be truant as you used to be when you are staying with your parents. And so I was enrolled at Christ the King Catholic Secondary School.
Okay.
You are staying with somebody, so you
became a good boy.
Somehow good boy.
Yeah. But was it a privileged home?
Privileged home, I don't know what you mean by privileged home. My mother was a nurse, became a midwife, single parents, of course. And so sometimes it's very difficult because she was taking care of about four boys. So you can imagine. And as a nurse, she did her best, but it was difficult because thankfully we were good at school academically. So we weren't given so much problems. We go through and sail through smoothly, and but it wasn't that rosy, So when I joined my auntie in Obuasi, went through Christ the King, and because I was concentrating at that time, I finished Form 5, got about those days. The school hasn't experienced that before. I got about 5-1.
You blew
all
it.
My 8 subjects were under 10 those days.
Oh,
so
that was good.
Continued at Opokuai.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't have to go and do any connection.
Yeah.
At the time I went to the school, my name was on the notice board. Then did accounting, economics, maths, government.
Did you plan on getting it? You doing football as a career?
No.
It wasn't
along
ever.
The line, I had dislocation of the arm.
You dislocated your arm.
So playing became just part-time.
But aside that, was there a profession you wanted to get into?
Well, I was doing business, and so I wanted to be an accountant, obviously, and that is the path that I chose.
Okay.
I did accounting, economics, government. Initially, I did math because I did math at O level. Went through A level without much sweat. Got my 3 A's with a B. Did my national service with Ghana District Assembly. It was a new assembly then, assisting the DCE then in his administrative work. Enrolled at the University of Ghana, BSc Administration Accounting option, and you see at Legon it is the hall that is more important than the school,
than the school itself.
So, because it is there that you acquire a lot of lifelong lessons, how to live with people, how to keep your cool in times of difficulties, and it is the hall that shows brotherliness to colleagues. It's not like the other halls, Legon Hall and other places where really don't understand what humanity is about.
Really?
You can have a visitor, particularly if you have a female visitor, and you are not around. Colleagues can keep her at least even for 2 days. You know, they show
in
compassion. Vandals. They show compassion. They show leadership. They show care. You understand? So went through.
Never once did your colleagues in Commonwealth let you down?
With
regards to your female visitors?
It's not possible. Because of the I don't know whether you know it very well. We have something we call gono. If you misbehave, particularly stealing, fighting, and also doing things that are unethical, the kind of punishment that you go through, we call it vandal justice. You dare not. If you witness one, you dare not do things that are unethical. So we went through it, and I think that I owe all that I'm going through to that kind of training that we all. It is peer check kind of arrangement, and I think that it is positive.
Unspoken rules, maybe.
Obviously, and all the songs that you can think of.
You want to sing one for us?
Not this time.
Not this time. I know, right? So the real interest in politics, when did it start?
I think on campus.
Opokuwari or on Commonwealth?
No, Opokuwari, it was just a snapshot demonstration that was done.
Okay,
once. But I remember when I was at Opokuwari, I did government, and my government teacher was one Afrifa who became a member of parliament for Formina constituency.
Okay.
He was taking us through government. It was around 91, 92 when we were transiting to democratic rule, and he was taking us through rule of law, partisan politics, and all that. So it was around that time that they were launching Dankwabuzia club. So all the government students, that's lower and upper sex students, were he is an MPP person, I suspected, sent to that lecture.
Okay.
It was the first time that I had personal encounter to raw politics. On that day, we had Akufo-Addo, the Safwedu, the Dubois-Hin, the Kufuor, and all the leading members, or the will-be leading members of the New Patriotic Party. And they took us through practical understanding of what we've been learning. But the challenge that we had when we came back to school, all of us that attended that program, our parents were investigated, the school prefect was almost rusticated, and all that. For us attending such a lecture, that was the first time I had direct interaction or direct contact with political activity.
Yeah.
On campus at Legon, not that much, but student campus, student politics. I remember in year 2 or so, Vitefi Anka was the SRC president, and there were a lot of issues with the way he was managing resources and all that. We went through all kinds of impeachment process, and guess who were our lawyers? Kwame Kufu. Ebefe was not then doing law, but it was part of
the team
that were agitating for Elvis to be impeached. At the end of the day, the dean of students have to, on his own, irrespective of the facts before him, decided on the matter. You see, that's how it is. We were the ones who organized demonstration that led to, I think, 10 months closure of the university between 1995, 96, thereabouts. So that was a thing to politics then. After that, did my national service again at Inquitia. It is one of my fruitful years, if I may say so, because it gave me the opportunity, almost 10 months living with young guys on campus, and the challenges. Accounting teaching is I don't know why most people who do accounting want to go into business and all that. So it's very difficult getting people to teach accounting. Most of our secondary schools, particularly those outside the main cities, Accra, Kumasi. So I witnessed for the first time how difficult it is for our schools to be taught accounting. So I took the opportunity for 9 months doing extra classes for our case. They've never passed like that before. So after that period, when I became the national youth organizer, most students that I taught, I saw them on campus, and it was a joy to me. They see you, and they were calling me, say, I'm not say, I'm the national youth organizer of the New Patriotic Party. It was one of my most fruitful years that I give back what has been given to me over the years.
I mean, you talk about how the journey has not been easy, from polling station chairman to constituency secretary, regional research, youth organizer and whatnot. Tell us about the journey. What
just as I said, by 1996 I was the polling station chairman for the party at Kolebu polling station. And then after school, I remember I got an appointment to be operations director. It was at that time that this microfinancing was at its inception. But looking at the general economy at that time, inflation running close to 50%, interest rates around 45%, the general economy was down. I felt that there's a need for some of us to also do something. And looking at the New Patriotic Party at that time, hardly will you see young people at the helm of affairs or leading the process of campaigning and mobilizing the youth. So I said, no, why will I come and become operations director for this microfinance? And if the economy collapses, well, you get your personal resources, you get your personal income, but what will be the effect of that on the entirety, particularly of the youth? So I came back to Accra. Then a friend of mine who is an MPP person at that time said that they were going to have an election to elect constituency executives for Ablekuma South. And they had penciled me to be the deputy secretary at that time, I think assistant secretary. We went for the conference or the congress. The one contesting for secretary didn't come. He said, okay, then you're going to become the constituency secretary for the constituency. And I was voted overwhelmingly to become the constituency secretary. I met my first resistance in politics on that day.
Even after the gentleman didn't show up?
He didn't show up, and I became the constituency secretary. They immediately were sworn in. The person who won as the chairman just took the mic and said, he and his executives are endorsing the parliamentarian, then that's Tejdategu, to go on the post. So I picked the mic and said, no, this is unconstitutional. Our constitution does not say so. The National Executive Committee is the body that has the power to roll out the process of parliamentary elections, and it was a difficult thing for the MP to understand why. As a young, I was then tiny. As a young man, that we've even brought you.
You remember how old you were then?
Yeah, not very, around 26.
Okay.
Those days, we are talking about New Patriotic Party. For you to become a constituency secretary at that time was some way. So that was the beginning. Thankfully, Kwashigan then was the national organizer of the party. He rolled out a program, a training of trainers program. I represented my constituency in that program. I became the class prefect for that meeting. After that, the report that I wrote, Kwashigan was so happy about it and just adopted me to be part of the national training program. So towards the 2000 election, although I was the constituency secretary, I was part of the national campaign program of training of polling agents. Yeah. And I was then part of a program that almost all rallies that we have, I was part of the NCs and all that.
So you became the youngest acting general secretary, a national organizer and director of operations for elections 2016 campaign. And people called you Sergeant Boadu because you were handling the three responsibilities?
Oh, that also came as it was coincidental.
Yeah. But how did you handle?
Yeah,
how did you handle it? How did you deliver the results?
And I normally tell people that if you really want to do politics, your starting point should be a constituency secretary.
Okay.
It is at that point that you understand the practical implementation of our constitution, because that is the beginning of operationalization of our constitution at the constituency level. If you are able to go through that, handling all positions, unless of course you are unable to adhere to the rules and you are not very objective in implementing the constitution. If you do so and do it very well, I don't think that any position in this party will be above you. So
none of the positions you've occupied have been challenging. Has been challenging.
It is, particularly in 2016, where as the national organizer, I was added an additional responsibility as an acting general secretary.
Yeah.
And also was responsible for the entire operations of the campaign. You understand? So, but because of my background, because apart from just working as constituency secretary, I was the finance director for the party, so to speak, as an accountant for the party because of my background. I was the national youth treasurer of the party. That was the first time we had an elected national youth leadership in our party. Mustafa then was a national youth organizer. Azeke Siama became the secretary, and I was the national youth treasurer. And after that, in 2005, I became the national youth organizer. Contested for the national organizer position in 2010. I lost, but I was also added another position as a deputy national communication director for the party. So I've gone through the mail. I contested.
And you became
I've contested as national organizer, and I won overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
So adding on an additional responsibility was something that I was not looking forward to it, obviously, because I remember a day before that national executive that we held that suspended the then general secretary, I decided not to come because we're having a very tough by-election in Amenfi West or so. But I don't know, I was prevailed upon to be there because I have not lobbied anybody, I have not had even discussion with anybody. But after that decision was made, considering the executives at that time, the national executive felt that I was the most experienced and executive at that time. The constitution said that.
But that time you were the national organizer.
I was the national organizer. The constitution said that just as if you have a minister, the minister resigns or is sacked or suspended or whatever, the deputy doesn't take over immediately.
Yeah.
It is another elected officer that acts depending on what happened. If the person resigned, then it means the position is vacant. But if the person is suspended, the possibility of coming back is there. So you can't have somebody taking over a substantive officer. That's why I acted for that period.
But eventually you became the substantive general secretary of the party. How do you assess your performance so far?
I don't have to be touting my own successes, but I think that to the best of my knowledge, I've added a lot to how the party administration is run. There are a lot of things, but these are internal things that we've done. If you realize, we've been having successful conferences, and each and every conference that you see is an improvement of the previous one. I don't think that any party in this country or in Africa has been able to organize such successful events and programs. You remember the Wongbo demonstration. I was then the national organizer. You can't imagine the numbers. And it didn't come by chance. It came as a result of purposeful organization on the ground, mobilizing and making sure that the issues, it's about issues. That's why sometimes I hear our brothers from the NDC and I sometimes cringe because you don't see the issues. You understand? It's about the issues, and it is the issues that is going to bring the people to you, the people to understand what you stand for and what you want to do.
What has been the most challenging part of your job as General Secretary?
Well, obviously, resource. I will have wished that one of my main agenda for going for the General Secretary is to ensure that in every constituency we have a secretariat, well furnished office. I've been able to do a few of them. I've not been able to do all, and I believe that all things being equal, after this election, we'll put a lot of effort in ensuring that we have fully furnished, functional secretariat in all our constituencies. Well, most of them have offices that's rented and all that. I think that it should come to a point that we can point to our own offices throughout the country.
What would you say has been your best day in politics?
Sometimes it's not about anybody will be mentioning when we won the election. I don't think so.
Winning the 2016 elections wasn't the best day.
My best day is identifying the pitfalls in our election tabulation process and being able to resolve it.
That was before the 2016 elections?
Before the 2016 elections. We did what we call a dry run. Picked close to 30 constituencies to test the system that we've put in place. Thankfully, I must commend the entire campaign team for allowing us to embark on that exercise. It was that exercise that enabled us put together a much robust system in place that led to the victory that you saw.
Okay.
It's a victory that started from proper organization.
Yeah.
It's a victory that started from mass organization. It's a victory that started from cogent articulation of what we believe in and what we want to do.
And that will be your best day in politics?
I believe so.
Wow.
Because if we had not done so,
you probably wouldn't have won the elections.
That dry run, it would have been difficult for us to have counted the NDC when they said they were in comfortable lead. Because they weren't in comfortable lead. They didn't have any system in place to collate their results. And I think as we speak now, they've not been able to collate their results in 2016. I believe so. I believe so. So they've given up.
Oh my goodness.
Because I told myself, with my background, it will have been very difficult for me to accept that I can't put in place a system that can add up. This is arithmetic. It's not calculating distance between the northern hemisphere and the southern. No, it's just addition. And we then had close to 30,000 polling stations. So my concentration was to make sure that we have people who can just add up. Collate it.
Was that your initiative?
It was a teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay.
I told myself, it is not possible as General Secretary not to know my results. Because if you say you've lost the election and you doubt the results, it's not just a question of saying I doubt the results. It's a question of saying that when I added the 36,000 polling stations, constituency by constituency, region by region, nationally, this is the total I got. This is the total that my opponents had. And as a result of the total that I have, I won and I didn't lose. So, in 2016, because I knew, considering the posture of the Electoral Commission at that time, particularly when we've never decided that we're going to transmit results from polling stations, because the committee that was set up after the 2020 elections after all the difficulties that we had.
Elections.
No, 2012 elections.
2012.
After all the difficulties we had, a committee was put in place to review the entire election process. The decision they took was that they would do electronic transmission at the collation center. So at the constituency center. So I don't know how come the electoral commission at that time decided that we are going to transmit results from polling stations. Then it occurred to me that we need to do something as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So as to be able.
Let's talk about your West Dame politics.
My West Dame politics was in 2010, having run as national youth organizer, and I believe that I was successful. As national youth organizer, I increased our numbers on our campuses. Those days, we didn't even have TESCON institutions at our training colleges, and most universities those days it was Lagos, a few of them. I think I did well. I felt that my work would be seen by party people. I decided to contest as national organizer at that time. Went to Kumasi and I barely got 30% of the vote. You know the reason is that because we lost the 2008 elections, the perception was that we were soft, we were not meeting the NDC booth for booth. So the other contestants will say, hey, I have Bamba boys, I have boys here, we will beat them up. And party people were so happy. I felt that no.
Wow.
If you want to do that, you must be strategic. Because you can't beat people in all the constituencies at the same time. That must be organized. If that's what you want to do. I felt that election is more about strategizing, it's more about tactics.
So somewhat he was campaigning on violence.
Not that. It was that's what politics is about. It was what the people want to hear at that time.
Beating people up?
Not exactly. That is going to make sure that the party is robust, the party is able to defend itself in the midst. It was in those days, the Azuga days, you understand? So party people felt that we lost the 2008 because we're not so strong in defending ourselves. But I felt that strength is in the mind, it's not in the muscle, you understand? And I thought that I had superior thinking and tactics and strategy than just being brute. You understand?
But
that was my way.
You have actually personally suffered some violence. I think I remember somewhere a few years back you were ambushed somewhere in the Brunahafo region.
Yes, now Ahafo region. It was Collins Alda's constituency. We're lucky on that day we're closer to a police station.
Okay.
If we were to.
Were you beaten?
Not exactly, but almost.
Somewhat.
Yeah, almost.
You were beaten small.
No. Exactly. I think that I only brought back my football tactics. You understand?
You took to your heels. Let's feel that.
That's why sometimes if I hear people sitting in their comfort of their homes, pontificating and not going on the ground to see the real danger of a breakdown of our national security system, the danger it poses to ordinary people, I just sometimes cringe.
In that case,
that's why in a lot of the cases, I believe that political parties need to have a structure that will protect their own people. Because with what I saw and what I've seen over the years, if you are unable to provide that backup to support your people, sometimes I shudder to understand why our friends in the NDC have groups that snatches ballot boxes. What does that mean? If they snatch the ballot box, what happens? It means I won't do the elections. Or what? What does that mean? But you have an agenda by a party grouping people to move around snatching ballot boxes. You understand? And it is done sometimes in your stronghold. Just distract people, just intimidate people and all that.
The NPP
So
doesn't have groups like that.
No. How can NPP person go and snatch ballot box for what? Have you heard that before? It's not possible. It's not.
So it's only the NDC that has those.
But you know, it is not possible.
No, I don't.
No,
know.
but you see, I started to understand what is the rationale behind that. If you snatch ballot box, so what? What happens? But they do it with ease and with glee. You understand? So you have to also provide a backup that will ensure that people who have that crazy ideas don't come close to police.
You don't think the days of vigilante groups are over?
Definition of vigilante, if you are
or groups that snatch ballot boxes, because you're speaking passionately about
well,
those.
we have laws that prohibit armed robbery, don't we? We have laws that prohibit pickpocketing, but it goes on. So, in addition to the security, national security apparatus, now you have a lot of homes that have their own security arrangements. The only thing that you don't have to do is to go out of your way to do things that infringes on our laws. I don't think any law prevents you from protecting yourself.
You actually sound like you're not confident the NDC would help make 2020 elections a peaceful one.
Is it in their interest? They are losing the elections. So why would they even want the election to come on? If you study their modus operandi for the past year, there were the people who were even against registration exercise. So I was thinking, what do they want? Distracting the process at every turn of events. Even as we speak now. Yeah, we are doing exhibition exercise. What is exhibition for? Exhibition is for the voter to go to the polling station to determine whether his name has even been written correctly.
Yeah.
To determine whether his name is in there. To determine whether his sex has been mixed or not. To determine where exactly is he voting. Because we did the registration in clusters. Some people find it difficult knowing where their polling station is. So if you mention a place that is wrong, you'll be put in a different polling station. So obviously, and as we've practiced over the years, anytime there is an exhibition exercise, people go to polling stations, they can't find their names are spelled wrongly, sometimes their pictures are not there. And it is exactly what is happening. Do you create an alarming situation as if the world is coming to an end? Today we're all at IPAC. And all the arguments that were raised, you realize that we could raise these arguments with the Electoral Commission and not create an impression that the world is coming to an end. Some people are in connivance with the Electoral Commission to regulate. I think that
the NDC flag bearer John Mahama says we will not accept the results of a flawed election.
But who accepts the result of a flawed election? So why do you say that? Now who will do so? We will also not accept the result of a flawed election.
Why do you think he is saying that?
I don't know why he says that, because this is known. Nobody will accept the result of a flawed election. Do you have to tell me? This is known. So you, as a political party, must help in the process and not distract the process. You understand? So I don't think this is a statement that I'll put much weight on it, because I, the New Patriotic Party, will not accept the results of a flawed election. If election is flawed, it's flawed. If it is flawed, not accepting alone is not enough. There are processes. For instance, in 2012, that we believe that the election was flawed, we did not accept, but we took steps democratically to remedy the situation. We were in court for close to 7 months. When the judgment was made by the Supreme Court, we disagreed with them, but we accepted, because that's the supreme law of our land, and that's where it ends. You understand? So, by this statement, I believe that he believes that there are processes, either from now pointing out the flaws or the irregularities that he is seeing.
Yeah.
You understand? For if it is true. Because in some cases, these are orchestrated. You remember when we had the referendum? There was this video that was making rounds that some electoral officials somewhere were tampering. If you check very well, you see the NDC had a press conference to say that electoral commission were double voting, multiple voting and all that. It was a referendum. It was just yes or no. But if you check that ballot paper, it had about 8 contestants. How can you as a party not do your checks? That this is something that has happened in Kenya or somewhere. You understand? And you use that as an example to say that the elections, there are irregularities and all. You remember his infamous meeting with the international community, where he brought pictures from Mozambique and other areas to create an impression that there is an implosion in this country. So I will go with him to ensure that our election process is even out.
Okay.
If there are challenges, I have no difficulty. For instance, today, when we went for IPAC, the Electoral Commission is planning to do continuous registration as the political party law prescribes. But the political party law also says that 60 days to elections, anybody that is registered cannot be part of the elections. We have 73, 74 days to elections. If you take 60 days out of it, you have about 13 days more. What it means is that if they want to do continuous registration, they must do it in such a way that it will be within the 13 days. And even the 13 days is also even not enough. We are filing for nomination for parliamentary and presidential fixed to 9th October. What it means is that that exercise should end by 4th of October. So they just have just 10 days. Because it is not just the registration. You need to exhibit the registration that has been done. So they have 10 days to do continuous registration if it will be effective.
Okay.
To have an
Mr. John Boadu, what has your whole political journey taught you?
How to deal with human beings. There are a lot of machinations. There are a lot of backstabbing in our politics, internally and externally. It opens you up to understand human behavior. Because of my long work at the party office, instinctively, if somebody comes with any problem, I know whether it is true or not. Sometimes I'll just gloss over and give you what you want. But I know this is not true. You understand?
Yeah.
So it tells you and opens you up to understand the human psychology,
how to deal with human beings.
How to deal with human beings.
If there's one personal...
genuinely also give you the opportunity to also help.
If there's one personal trait about you that you are proud of, what would it be?
Hard work.
Hard work.
Yeah.
If there's a habit you wish to cut or do away with, what will it be?
Sometimes overindulgence or maybe a bigger stomach for nonsense. I need to correct that. I sometimes will indulge people for a very long time. But sometimes it turns out to be good. Where it gives me the opportunity to be able to be objective in decisions that I want to take. But sometimes
then it's not exactly
a
negative thing.
Negative because if you are not very careful, the thing happens.
Okay.
Without you taking an action or decision. Sometimes I do that a lot. And it is also because sometimes you need to give a greater thought to things that happen. That's why occasionally you won't see me responding sporadically to some of these misinformation.
Yeah.
I need to be careful about what, because you are representing a party that has tradition. You see, our party is a party of tradition. Our party is a party of ideology. Our party is a party of history. You understand? That we've won the ideological war over years. When we're talking about center-right politics, a lot of the countries do not even know what it means.
Yeah.
We're the sole political party in Africa, in particular, that believe in something that it has now been accepted by the whole world. So
lots of messages are coming in for you, Mr. John Boadu. Hold on, let me read this one from Uncle Atu in Sprintex. He says, General John Boadu, aka Ajin Kese, is a great asset to the NPP, and I'm enjoying the interesting chat and learning a lot from his experience. I trust he can deliver yet another resounding victory for the NPP this time. Now, let me ask you, after 7 youth organizer and general secretary, would you want to be national chairman?
I tell people that, in New Patriotic Party, national chair.
Keep it brief for me. I know you have a long story to share, but keep it brief for me because we have to wrap up, Mr. John Boadu.
National chair, but you serve only once, most of it. It means that you are going on pension. I don't want to go.
You don't want to go.
I think I still have a lot.
Okay, I mean it's a great spending time with you, Mr. John Boadu. But as we wrap up, what advice would you give to people who look up to you? You've seen life, you've been through it all, the hard, the highs and the lows and whatnot. If you had one advice to give out, what would it be?
People, particularly young people, must be focused. It's not that easy. I remember when I was contesting again, I met some students, our TESCOM members. I said, look, if you want to become like John Boadu, you need close to 20 years to do that. I said, hey! I said, yes. That is what you need to go through. Be focused, be dedicated, be loyal to what you are doing. It doesn't matter whether you are wrong today, but if you are dedicated and believe in what you are doing, you'll be vindicated.
Sergeant John Boadu, thank you so much. Great spending time with you and good luck in the 2020 elections.
Thank you very much.
4 more for John and Nana.
No, now the priority is that 4 more for Nana and majority parliamentarians in the next parliament.
There you go. It's making a lot of NPP people smile. Thank you so much. The battleground is coming up here on Joy 99.7 FM. MFR Pau and the team are getting ready to bring you the battleground here on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Lexis Bill. Thanks a lot to my team. God willing, tomorrow at 3 o'clock we are back on your radio. Make a date with us on Personality Profile next week Thursday. Have a great evening.